I never thought a child's toy could sound like a gunshot in a quiet apartment at dawn. But that morning, at 5:32 a.m., when Jason pushed open the front door after disappearing all night, that tiny plastic crash truck lying under the hallway light felt louder than thunder. And the folded crayon-written note beside it, that note felt like the world collapsing in slow motion. I was sitting on the living room sofa, wearing yesterday's sweatshirt, wrapped in a thin throw blanket I had pulled over myself sometime around 2 a.m. The iPhone on the coffee table was dead from checking it every 10 minutes. A half-finished Starbucks caramel latte, now completely cold, sat beside it. I hadn't slept. I couldn't. Our apartment in New Jersey was quiet in the way hospitals feel quiet. Too bright, too still, too aware of pain. Through the balcony window, I could see Manhattan's skyline faintly glowing behind the early fog, as if the city already knew something I didn't. The door clicked. Jason slipped in, moving like a teenager sneaking past curfew. His white dress shirt was wrinkled, the collar bent, and there was a faint scent of expensive perfume, definitely not mine, mixed with the sharp smell of last night's whiskey. He tossed his keys on the table like nothing was wrong. He even tried to flash a tired smile. "God, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "Long night at the office. My team almost slept under our desks." "Sure. And I'm the Queen of England." I didn't answer because I was staring at the crash truck on the floor. The same one he'd proudly bought for Leo last week, insisting every boy needs a tough truck. The paint was chipped at the edges from how often Leo played with it. Jason followed my line of sight and let out a confused laugh. Even at 5:32 in the morning, after a night with his mistress, my husband found a way to laugh. "You stepping on toys again?" he joked, trying to lift the mood. "Seriously, we need to tell Leo his trucks don't belong in the entryway. I swear one day I'm gonna break an ankle." I still didn't speak, because I was waiting for him to notice the folded note, crumpled, crooked, written in the shaky handwriting of a 4-year-old boy who had cried before he wrote it. Jason finally saw it. "What's this?" he asked casually, picking it up with 2 fingers like it was a receipt. He read 3 words and froze. "Boden noidoi," except Leo wrote it in English, the way a child speaks to the only father he knows. "Dad, don't lie anymore." Jason's smile collapsed. His face changed shape, guilt, confusion, irritation, fear, all fighting each other. He glanced back at me. "Emily, what the hell is this?" I stood up slowly. The blanket slid off my shoulders and fell to the floor. "You tell me," I said, his eyebrows pulled together. "Is this some kind of... Did you put him up to this? Did you coach him?" His voice rose. "He's 4, Emily. He doesn't write stuff like this unless someone..." A small, unexpected laugh escaped me, not a happy laugh. My husband is digging his own grave faster than I ever could laugh. "Jason," I said softly, "Leo woke up last night, saw me waiting for you, and left the note himself before going back to bed." Jason opened and closed his mouth like a malfunctioning goldfish. "And the truck?" he asked weakly. "He said he didn't want it anymore," I whispered. "He said he didn't want toys from a dad who lies." The room went silent. Jason tried to speak again, but at that exact moment, the universe decided to humiliate him further. Leo stumbled out of his bedroom with his dinosaur pajama pants twisted sideways and his hair sticking up like a baby Einstein. He blinked at his father and said in the most innocent, sleepy voice, "Hi, Daddy, did you finish playing with the lady from your phone?" Jason turned pale. Leo scratched his belly, yawned, then added, "She had yellow hair and big teeth." I swear, I almost choked trying not to laugh. Jason looked like he wanted the earth to swallow him whole. And that was the moment everything cracked. Because Jason could lie to me, but he could not lie around the truth told by his own child. And that truth was only beginning. Jason stood frozen in the hallway, still holding Leo's crayon-written note like it was a bomb someone forgot to finish defusing. Leo, meanwhile, was unconcerned with human tragedy. He dragged his tiny blanket behind him and padded toward me, arms open. I picked him up and kissed his forehead, his hair warm and messy against my cheek. "Mommy," he mumbled, "Daddy smells funny." Jason choked. "It's cologne." Leo squinted at him. "Your cologne smells like lady feet." I turned away so Jason wouldn't see my shoulders shaking from holding back laughter. Lady feet. I couldn't have scripted a better insult for a cheating man at dawn. I carried Leo to the kitchen, set him on the counter, and started making his little bowl of oatmeal. Jason followed us, trying to reclaim authority like the house wasn't already on fire. Leo, he began, voice strained. What lady did you see on my phone? Leo swung his legs and answered proudly. The one you said was your secret friend. She waved at me. Her teeth were really big, Daddy, like a happy shark. I nearly dropped the spoon. Jason ran a hand down his face. Jesus Christ, Leo gasped. Daddy said a bad word. Jason muttered something that did nothing to help him. I grabbed my coffee mug, cold of course, and leaned against the counter. I wasn't ready to cry yet. Shock had its own strange way of numbing things, making everything feel like a bizarre sitcom you accidentally walked into. Jason tried again. Leo, buddy, are you sure you didn't dream that? Nope, Leo said, crunching on a Cheerio he found God knows where. I don't dream about scary ladies, I dream about dinosaurs and pancakes. I swear the universe wanted Jason humiliated. Jason finally snapped and looked at me. Emily, this is out of control. You're letting him say whatever he wants, and now you're looking at me like I'm guilty of something. I raised an eyebrow. He threw up his hands. Okay, fine. Yes, I worked late. Yes, I grabbed a drink. That's all. You know how deadlines are. You're jumping to conclusions based on a note from a 4-year-old. Leo interrupted loudly. I'm 4.5. Even I had to grin. Jason pointed at the crash truck on the hallway floor. And what's this? Why would he leave his toy like that? What did you tell him, Emily? Anger flickered in me, quiet, sharp, dignified. Jason, I said evenly, he left it because you bought it for him. And last night, he realized you weren't coming home. He asked me if you were lying to us. Jason scoffed. He doesn't even know what lying is. Leo raised his hand like he was in preschool. Yes, I do. It's when you say something but your face looks different. Jason blinked. What? You looked different last night, Leo added simply. Like when Mommy says the broccoli is yummy, her face looks wrong. I pressed a hand to my chest. This kid was unintentionally roasting both his parents in one morning. Jason stepped closer, lowering his voice. Emily, stop encouraging this. Jason, I said, calm as ice. Nobody encouraged anything. Your son saw something, and honestly, so did I. He froze. What's that supposed to mean? Instead of answering, I walked to the dining table and picked up a small stack of things I had been avoiding all night. The wrinkled hotel receipt sticking out of his jacket pocket, the faint lipstick stain on his collar, the screenshot Leo accidentally took of Jason Null, FaceTiming some blonde woman with way too white teeth. I laid them on the table one by one, like playing cards in a losing hand. Leo gasped. Daddy, you got makeup on your shirt. Why? Are you dressing up for Halloween? It's January, I reminded gently. Jason's face drained of color. I can explain, he whispered. For the first time in years, I smiled without fear. I'm sure you can, I said. But I finally realized something, Jason. If a 4-year-old sees the truth more clearly than your wife does, something is very, very wrong. He opened his mouth, and then Leo delivered the final blow. Daddy, if you lie again, I'm taking all my trucks to Grandma's, even the loud one. Jason stared at him like the threat came from a Supreme Court judge. And in that absurd, painful, hilarious moment, I knew something for certain. This wasn't the beginning of a misunderstanding. This was the beginning of the end. Jason stared at the table like the items on it were poisonous. The hotel receipt, the lipstick stain, the screenshot Leo accidentally took. Each piece was a tiny wrecking ball, chipping away at his carefully crafted confidence. He reached for the receipt first. Emily, this isn't what it looks like. It looks like you spent last night at the Ritz-Carlton, I replied. That's work-related. He swallowed hard. My boss, my team, we had to meet a client. At midnight? I asked. Leo, who had climbed onto a dining chair, added, Did the client have shark teeth too? Jason flinched like he'd been slapped. Can we stop talking about teeth? I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I folded my arms. Fine. Explain the lipstick on your shirt. That could be anyone's. Leo raised his hand again, proud of himself. Daddy, it's pink. That's Mommy's least favorite color. Jason glared at him. Leo, please go watch cartoons. No, Leo said simply. I want to hear Daddy explain the shark lady. I bit my lip to hold back the laugh threatening to explode. Jason took a long breath, then turned to me. Emily, I swear to God, nothing happened. I didn't cheat on you. I nodded at the screenshot. Her hair is in the frame, Jason. It was a glitch, a filter. Maybe Leo pressed something. Yeah, I said. He pressed the screenshot button. Jason looked like he suddenly hated technology. I reached for the small Amazon box I had filled earlier, a box I originally meant to use for returning a pair of socks, but had repurposed into my personal crime evidence container. I opened it slowly, letting the cardboard creak. Inside were the items I'd gathered during the night: the key card, the receipt, the note, the toy truck, and a napkin from the hotel bar with the initials S in loopy handwriting. Jason paled. Where did you get that? It fell out of your pocket when you tossed your pants on the chair. Leo leaned over the box, fascinated. Daddy, is this treasure? Jason covered his face. Oh my God. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. My voice was quiet in that dangerous way that even I wasn't used to. Jason, I said softly, I'm not stupid, and I'm done pretending you're smarter than you actually are. Leo blinked at me. Mommy, are you being sassy? I gave him a tiny smile. Just a little. Jason raked his hands through his hair. Okay, look, maybe I hung out with a coworker. Maybe I drank too much. Maybe things got blurry. His voice trembled. But I love you. I love our family. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Leo climbed off the chair, grabbed the toy truck from the evidence box, and held it out like a judge delivering a verdict. Daddy, you broke the rules. Jason knelt down. What rules, buddy? The mom and me rules, Leo said decisively. Rule number 1, don't be mean to mommy. Rule number 2, don't leave mommy alone at night. Rule number 3, don't kiss shark ladies. Jason's mouth fell open. He looked at me like he wanted me to intervene. I didn't. Leo sighed dramatically, the way only toddlers can. Daddy, you broke all the rules. Jason sat back on his heels. For a moment, he actually looked like a little boy being scolded. I quietly said, we're leaving for a few days. He shot up. What? Emily, no, don't take Leo away from me. You took yourself away, I said. He grabbed my arm. We can fix this. We just need to talk. We need time. I pulled my arm back. Time is exactly what I'm taking. Leo tugged on my hand and whispered loudly, Mommy, can I bring my dinosaurs too? They don't like shark ladies either. Jason looked like he might cry. Leo looked like he might file another complaint. And me? For the first time in years, I felt clarity. Not peace, not relief, but clarity. It hit me then. The breaking wasn't happening to me anymore. I was the one doing the breaking. And this marriage was the thing finally snapping. Leo fell asleep in the car before we even left the parking lot, which was perfect, because I needed a quiet moment to hold myself together. I drove slowly through our New Jersey neighborhood, the winter sun barely peeking over the rooftops, washing everything in a pale orange glow. My hands tightened around the steering wheel, not out of fear, but out of something steadier. Resolve. We ended up at Claire's apartment, my neighbor, unofficial therapist, and part-time comedian. Claire opened the door in mismatched pajamas, holding a mug of coffee the size of her head. Girl, she said, eyes widening, you look like you've seen the ghost of Christmas cheating. I burst out laughing in a way I definitely wasn't ready for. She pulled me inside. Leo kept sleeping on her couch, curled around his dinosaur like the world was safe again. Claire placed a blanket over him and whispered, He's fine. Now sit, start talking, and drink this. She handed me a fresh cup of coffee. I gave her the short version. The hotel receipt, the lipstick, the FaceTime screenshot, the note, the truck. The look on Jason's face when Leo accused him of kissing a shark. Claire shook her head dramatically. A shark? Oh honey, he didn't cheat with a woman, he cheated with a Discovery Channel special. That made me snort into my coffee. Then she leaned forward. Okay, but seriously, what's your plan? I'm taking Leo to my mom's for a few days, I said quietly. I just need space to think. Claire nodded. Good. Distance gives you oxygen. Jason seems like the kind of guy who's been sucking all the oxygen out of the room for years. I stared at my cup. Do you think I'm overreacting? Claire didn't answer with words. She reached for her phone and pulled up a calculator. Let me do the math, she said. Hotel receipt, lipstick, late nights, secret FaceTime calls, your son writing emotional letters like he's a tiny divorced poet. I laughed into my sleeve. Claire kept going dramatically. Plus Jason's face when you confronted him looked like expired yogurt. So that equals. She turned the phone around. Leave his ass. I laughed again, louder this time. It's not that simple. No, she agreed. It's not. Not when you have a kid. Not when you've loved someone for years. But sometimes love turns into loyalty. And loyalty turns into self-abandonment. You deserve better than that. Her words hit the part of me I'd been trying to ignore. I ran my thumb over the coffee cup lid. I have a meeting with a lawyer this afternoon. Claire froze mid-sip. A good lawyer? Apparently one of the best. Claire lit up like Christmas morning. Oh, girl, if Jason cheated, you better let that lawyer flip him like a pancake. I laughed again. I'm not looking to destroy him. Don't worry, she said, waving a hand. Men like Jason destroy themselves. You just need someone to file the paperwork. Before I could respond, Leo stirred on the couch. Mommy, he mumbled. I hurried to him, brushing hair off his forehead. Yeah, baby, I'm here. His sleepy eyes blinked open. Are we staying with Grandma? I want pancakes. Grandma makes happy pancakes. I smiled softly. Yes, sweetheart, we are. He sat up suddenly serious. Daddy can't come. Shark Lady might follow him. Claire slapped a hand over her mouth to stifle a laugh. Leo whispered, Shark Lady scares my dinosaurs. I hugged him tightly, hiding my smile in his hair. Don't worry, baby. She won't come. The truth was, I didn't know what would come next. I didn't know if Jason and I would end in fire or silence, in paperwork or heartbreak. But for the first time, I wasn't frozen. I wasn't scared of the unknown. Because holding Leo in my arms in Claire's small but warm apartment, surrounded by mismatched throw pillows and the smell of cinnamon coffee, I realized something powerful. Jason may have broken the marriage, but he did not break me. And he sure as hell didn't break our son. We packed our bags that afternoon, and just as I locked Claire's door behind us, she leaned out into the hallway and yelled, If you need me to throw a lamp at Jason, text me. Leo yelled back, Yeah! Throw it at the Shark Lady too. I nearly dropped my keys laughing, and somewhere between that ridiculous moment and the drive to my mother's house, I started to feel the first small breath of freedom. By the time Leo and I reached my mom's house in Maplewood, the afternoon sun was sinking, turning the neighborhood gold. My mom opened the door before I even knocked, as if she'd been standing there with her hand on the doorknob the whole day. She took one look at my face and whispered, Oh, sweetheart. What did he do? I didn't trust myself to answer, so I let Leo run into her arms instead. Grandma, Daddy kissed a shark lady. My mother froze like she'd been hit by lightning. Shark lady? I covered my face. Not literally, Mom. Oh, thank God, she said, pressing a hand to her chest. For a moment, I thought Jason had completely lost his mind and went fishing for mermaids. Leo nodded sagely. She had big teeth. Mom's eyes narrowed. Emily, sit, talk. I sat at the kitchen table while she poured hot tea into her favorite mug, white with gold lettering that said World's Most Tired Mom. She handed it to me, then crossed her arms like a general preparing for war. So I told her everything, every detail. The late nights, the hotel receipt, the lipstick, the FaceTime screenshot, the note, the truck. Her face shifted through every emotion known to mankind. At the end, she muttered, That boy always thought he was too handsome for his own good. Leo, coloring dinosaurs at the table, added, Daddy's not handsome today. Mom nodded. Exactly. We spent an hour talking while Leo made his T-Rex eat crayons. When he got bored, he dragged his toy truck across the kitchen floor, but this time he didn't call it his daddy truck. That hit me harder than anything Jason did. Later that evening, after I put Leo down for a nap, I sat on the couch scrolling through my notes, preparing for my meeting with Miss Harper. My stomach twisted with both dread and adrenaline. Mom sat beside me. You're scared, she said quietly. I'm everything, I whispered. Scared, angry, heartbroken, embarrassed, tired. Mom placed her hand over mine. You're human, I swallowed. What if I'm not strong enough? Mom squeezed my fingers. You had a baby with no epidural. You once fought a raccoon in the trash cans at 2 a.m. You survived being married to a man who ironed his gym socks. Trust me, you're strong enough. I laughed so hard I almost spilled my tea. Mom, can we not bring up the sock ironing thing? He deserved punishment for that alone, she said. When evening settled in, I drove to Miss Harper's office, a sleek glass building with a lobby fountain that tried very hard to sound relaxing. I checked in, sat in the waiting area with my tote bag full of documents, and tried to breathe. The door opened. Miss Harper stepped out. A woman in her 50s with sharp eyes, smoother hair than any lawyer should legally be allowed to have, and an outfit so put together she made me feel like a messy college student. Emily? She asked. I stood. Yes, let's talk. She gestured me into her office, a warm room filled with legal books, plants, and a single photograph on her desk of her dog wearing a bow tie. That helped. I sat down and handed her the folder I'd prepared. She opened it, scanning the top pages. Hotel receipt, she said calmly. Lipstick evidence. Screenshot. She paused. Your child took this? I sighed, accidentally. And also heroically. She smiled for half a second. Kids have a way of revealing truth. Then she leaned back in her chair. What do you want, Emily? For a moment, I didn't know how to answer. Not because I didn't have an answer, but because nobody had asked me that in years. I took a breath. I want my dignity back, I said softly. I want my son to feel safe. I want a life that isn't built on lies, even if it's smaller, even if it's harder. Harper nodded like she'd been waiting to hear those words. Then let's begin, she said. She picked up her Mont Blanc pen, sleek, black, elegant, and started writing out a roadmap of everything I needed to do. It hit me then, sitting in that office with legal pads and soft lamp lighting. This wasn't just planning a separation, it was planning my re-entry into my own life. And for the first time, I felt the ground under my feet again. The next morning started with the kind of chaotic sweetness only a grandmother's house can provide. Leo running around in dinosaur pajamas, the smell of cinnamon pancakes filling the air, and my mom humming loudly while flipping bacon like she was auditioning for a cooking show. I sat at the kitchen table, reviewing the notes Miss Harper had given me, step-by-step instructions, documents to gather, accounts to separate, a list of things I never imagined needing to protect myself from the man I married. My mom placed a plate in front of me. Eat, she commanded. Leo pointed at my pancake. Mommy, yours looks like a sad face. It matches my soul, I murmured. Leo gasped dramatically. Grandma, Mommy's soul is sad. My mom smacked my arm lightly. Stop scaring the child. I sighed. I'm fine, baby, I'm just tired. Leo handed me his toy dinosaur. You can borrow him. He eats bad guys. That almost made me cry again. After breakfast, I drove back to the apartment Jason and I shared to grab some essentials. Mom insisted on watching Leo, partly to help me and partly because she didn't trust me not to punch Jason if he appeared in the hallway. When I unlocked the door, the apartment felt wrong. Too quiet, too clean, too staged. Like Jason had tried to erase the chaos of yesterday. The evidence box was gone from the dining table. So were his jacket and the shirt with lipstick on the collar. He was trying to rewrite the crime scene. I walked into the bedroom and froze. Jason was there, sitting on the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, looking like he hadn't slept. His eyes were red, not from remorse, probably from Googling how to fix marriage after wife finds hotel receipt. Emily, he said, standing up quickly. I'm glad you're here. We need to talk. I came to get clothes for me and Leo, I said, brushing past him. He followed. I made a mistake, a huge mistake. I know that. But can we please just slow down and... No, Jason, I said, pulling open drawers. We've been slow for years. I've moved at your pace. I stayed quiet at your pace. I forgave at your pace. I'm done with your pace. He rubbed his forehead like I was giving him a headache. You're being dramatic. I turned, holding a stack of Leo's shirts. Jason, you cheated on me at the Ritz-Carlton? I think I'm allowed a little drama. He winced. It wasn't like that. Really? I said. Which part wasn't like that? The late-night drink? The hotel room? The lipstick? The blonde woman with shark teeth? He groaned into his hands. Will you please stop calling her that? I shrugged. Talk to Leo, he started the nickname. Jason let out a frustrated sound. Then he grabbed my suitcase and tried to help me pack, which somehow made everything worse. Emily, he said quietly, I want to fix this. I zipped the suitcase shut. You should have thought about that before you broke it. He stepped in front of the door, blocking me. Just don't leave, stay. Let's talk. Let's figure something out. I already talked to a lawyer, I said calmly. His face drained. You? What? Yesterday. He took a step back like I'd hit him. Jesus, Emily. I'm protecting myself and our son, I said. Something you should have done years ago. He ran both hands through his hair, pacing. I can't lose Leo, please. I'll do counseling, therapy. Hell, I'll delete social media, change my number, whatever you want. I softened for a moment. I could see the desperation, the panic. But I could also see the truth. He wasn't begging because he loved me. He was begging because he was losing control. I'm leaving, I said. Move. He stood there like a wall. So I did something unexpected. I reached into Leo's backpack, pulled out the toy crash truck, and held it up like a courtroom exhibit. Jason, I said, if you don't move, I swear I will run over your foot with this truck. And Leo will help me. His eyes widened. Leo's tiny voice echoed in memory. He eats bad guys. Jason moved. Sometimes motherhood gives you superpowers. I walked out the door without looking back. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the one who was left behind. The hearing date arrived faster than I expected. Maybe because my brain spent the entire week juggling legal documents, Leo's preschool schedule, and my mother's attempts to accidentally run into Jason at the grocery store so she could accidentally ram her shopping cart into his ankles. I told her no. She told me she already bought new wheels for the cart. I told her again, no, Mother. She sighed dramatically like I had stolen joy from her. The courthouse in Newark was tall, cold, and intimidating. Exactly the kind of place designed to make you sweat even when it's 40 degrees outside. I arrived holding Leo's hand and clutching a folder Miss Harper had organized so perfectly it could have been displayed at the Smithsonian. Jason was already there. He wore a navy suit that was clearly chosen to scream, responsible father. The problem was his face screamed, man who slept 2 hours and Googled how to look innocent all morning. And beside him, stood the blonde, Sabrina, the shark lady herself. I had never seen someone trying so hard to look innocent. She was wearing a beige trench coat and sunglasses indoors, like she was auditioning for a reboot of Men in Black Homewrecker Edition. And her teeth? Yes, still enormous. Leo saw her and whispered loudly, Mommy, the shark is here. Jason nearly fainted. Miss Harper arrived moments later, calm and elegant, holding her Mont Blanc pen like a sword. Ready? She asked. Ready, I said, even though my heart was doing jumping jacks. Inside the courtroom, the session began. Jason's lawyer, a tall, tired man who looked like he regretted becoming a lawyer, stood and started with the classic opening line. Your Honor, my client is a devoted father, a hard-working provider, and a man committed to repairing his marriage. Meanwhile, Jason nodded like a bobblehead doll. Then Miss Harper rose, poised, sharp, quietly dangerous. Your Honor, she began, my client is also a devoted parent, one who did not spend the night at the Ritz-Carlton with a coworker while her child waited at home and wrote a note begging his father to stop lying. The courtroom fell silent. Jason's lawyer blinked, defeated before he even started. Jason glanced at Sabrina. Sabrina adjusted her sunglasses even though there was absolutely zero sun inside the courtroom. The judge, a woman in her 60s with silver hair and a stare that could silence thunderstorms, lifted the hotel receipt. Mr. Carter, is this yours? Jason coughed. Yes, but... And the lipstick stain on your shirt? That was, And this screenshot? She held up the image of him on FaceTime, smiling like an idiot at a blonde woman. Sabrina quickly ducked her head behind her hair, which only made the judge stare harder. Jason swallowed, loudly. I can explain. From behind us, Leo whispered to me, Daddy's sweating like Grandma's turkey. I pressed my lips together so hard they hurt. The judge continued. Mr. Carter, are you denying that you spent the night with this woman? Jason tried one last attempt at being clever. Your Honor, I think there may be some misunderstandings. The judge tilted her head. A hotel receipt, a FaceTime screenshot, a lipstick stain, and a note from your 4-year-old son? That is quite a collection of misunderstandings. The courtroom chuckled. Even the stenographer hid a smile. Sabrina whispered something to Jason, and he whispered something back, and the judge snapped. If you two whisper again, I will separate you like misbehaving teenagers. Sabrina froze. Jason stared straight ahead like a terrified student. Then came the moment that ended everything. Miss Harper stood and played the short audio clip, Leo's tiny voice saying, Daddy, stop yelling at Mommy, Shark Lady is scary. Jason turned beet red. Sabrina glared at the ceiling like God had betrayed her. The judge folded her hands. Custody will primarily be granted to Emily Carter. Jason Carter will have scheduled visitations under agreed supervision. Financial responsibility will be determined according to documented income and misused marital assets. Jason's jaw dropped. The judge added, and for the record, Shark Lady? Truly? The courtroom erupted in muffled laughter. Even I cracked a smile. Jason sank into his seat. And in that moment, not when the evidence came out, not when Jason stammered, not even when the judge looked ready to throw a Bible at him, But right then, hearing strangers laugh at the nickname Leo created, I felt justice settle on my shoulders, warm, steady. Right. When the judge's gavel finally came down, the weight of it felt like a door closing. Not gently, but firmly, finally, the way a long-stuck window slammed shut during a storm. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like I could breathe without holding the air in my chest. Jason didn't say a word. Sabrina kept her head down, sunglasses now resting on top of her hair like a confused tiara. Leo, meanwhile, was happily swinging his legs, humming the Baby Shark song under his breath, which felt like some kind of cosmic victory lap. Outside the courthouse, the cold air hit us instantly. Miss Harper tightened her scarf and gave me a small smile. "You did well," she said. "Very well." "I just survived," I answered. "Sometimes that's the bravest thing," she replied. Before I could thank her, Leo tugged my coat. "Mommy, Daddy looked like he was gonna cry." I exhaled slowly. He might have. Leo frowned, thinking deeply the way only toddlers can. Does crying mean he's not gonna kiss the shark lady anymore? Miss Harper coughed to hide a laugh. I bent down to Leo's level. "I don't know what Daddy is going to do, but we are going to be okay." Leo nodded. Then he added thoughtfully, "We should send him a toothbrush. Shark lady's teeth were scary." I had to pretend to tie my shoe so I could hide my laugh in my scarf. As we walked toward the parking garage, we heard hurried footsteps behind us. "Emily?" I turned. Jason. His face looked hollow, all the arrogance washed out, replaced by fear, the kind that comes when the consequences finally catch up. "Can we talk?" he asked, out of breath. Harper stepped subtly between us, not blocking him, but making herself known. "My client is under no obligation." "It's okay," I said quietly. "He just wants a minute." She nodded and took Leo a few steps away to look at pigeons. Jason shoved his hands in his pockets. I'm sorry." The words came out uneven, like he wasn't used to saying them without expecting praise. "I know," I said, "but sorry doesn't unbreak things." He swallowed. "I didn't mean for all of this to happen." "Jason, nobody ever means for their life to fall apart." I kept my voice calm. "But choices have consequences. That's all this is." He looked at Leo, who was chasing a pigeon and screaming, "I'm a T-Rex and you are breakfast?" Jason's expression softened with something like grief. "I don't want to lose him." "You're not losing him," I said gently. "You're losing the version of life where you thought lying had no price." He flinched. "I'll be better," he whispered. "I'll work on myself. I'll fix things." I shook my head. "Fix yourself for you, not for us. That part is gone." He closed his eyes tightly, nodding even though it hurt him. Then a voice pierced through the tension like a poorly timed sound effect. "Jason?" We both turned. Sabrina was approaching, clicking her heels across the parking lot like a baby giraffe learning to walk, sunglasses still on despite the shade, her trench coat flapping dramatically. "Are we leaving or what?" she snapped. Jason looked like he wanted the asphalt to swallow him. Leo pointed at her and yelled across the parking lot, "Mommy, the shark is back!" Sabrina stumbled mid-step, nearly twisting her ankle. I covered my mouth, trying so hard not to laugh. Even Miss Harper had to look away. "I can hear you," Sabrina barked. Leo gasped. "She talks like a villain." Jason rubbed his forehead. "Sabrina, just go to the car." She huffed and stormed off. Well, tried to storm off. One heel caught in a crack, and she hopped 3 times before regaining balance. If karma were a comedy, this was its finale. Jason whispered almost to himself, "What am I doing?" "That," I said gently, "is for you to figure out." We didn't hug, we didn't fight, we just stood there, 2 people who used to be everything to each other, and now were just history. I turned to walk away, reaching for Leo's hand. Jason called after us softly, "Tell him I love him." I didn't turn back, but I answered, "He'll know if you show it." Leo squeezed my fingers. "Mommy, can we get celebratory fries? Grandma said fries heal sadness." I smiled for the first time in hours. "Yes, baby, fries heal many things." And as we walked toward the car, my son skipping, Miss Harper telling me I'd done the right thing, Sabrina yelling in the background, and Jason standing alone in the cold, I realized something. Justice wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It wasn't dramatic. Sometimes justice was simply walking away and not looking back. Life after the court ruling didn't magically turn into sunshine and rainbow lattes. It was quieter, heavier, and oddly lighter at the same time. like stepping out of a hurricane only to realize you're still soaked but finally breathing air that isn't trying to kill you. Leo and I moved into a small but cozy 2-bedroom apartment in South Orange. It wasn't fancy, no granite countertops, no skyline views, but it had sunlight that spilled into the living room every morning and a playground right behind the building. And for the first time in years, the silence inside a home felt soft, not suffocating. Leo loved it immediately. "Mommy," he announced on our first morning there, "this house doesn't have shark vibes." I nearly spit out my coffee. Good. That's exactly what the listing advertised. We spent the next few weeks adjusting. Leo started preschool again. I got approved for remote full-time hours at the e-commerce company I'd been working with, using my old MacBook Air perched on a tiny IKEA desk. Mom visited often, mostly bringing food and gossip about Maplewood neighbors I'd never met. Every night, Leo picked one of his toy trucks to guard the house. He'd place it by the front door like a small plastic bouncer. "Shark lady detection," he'd whisper. I didn't have the heart to tell him plastic trucks weren't security systems. One afternoon, after picking Leo up from preschool, he tugged my sleeve and whispered, "Mommy, Daddy's outside." My stomach dropped, but when I looked through the window I saw Jason standing awkwardly near the sidewalk, holding a paper bag like a man delivering an apology someone forced him to rehearse. He approached slowly. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi," I answered. "I brought snacks." He held up the bag like it was a peace offering from a tiny, guilty nation. "For Leo, and, for you too." Leo peeked from behind my leg. "Daddy, are the snacks shark-free?" Jason closed his eyes like he was reconsidering his entire life. "Yes, buddy, shark-free." I let Leo run ahead to the playground while Jason and I walked behind him, keeping a polite distance between us. He cleared his throat. "I've been going to therapy." I glanced at him. "Good. And I'm not seeing Sabrina anymore." Leo, swinging on the monkey bars, shouted, "Shark lady is gone!" A mom nearby looked startled. I smiled apologetically as Jason groaned. "I'm trying, Emily," he said quietly. "I know it doesn't fix anything, but I am trying." "I hope you do it for yourself," I said. "Not for me, and not to win something back." He nodded slowly. "I know." We sat on a bench while Leo played. For the first time, it didn't feel like sitting next to a stranger. It felt like sitting next to someone I used to know and no longer needed. Jason's voice was barely above a whisper. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said truthfully. "Hate is still a kind of connection. I'm just done." He exhaled shakily. "I can live with that, as long as I'm still part of his life." "You are," I said, "but the part you play is up to you now." A moment passed, quiet, real, uncomplicated. Then Leo ran up, breathless. "Daddy, I showed my friend your picture. She said you look like a confused potato." I choked. Jason blinked slowly. "A potato?" Leo nodded. "A potato that's confused." Jason looked at me. "Is that supposed to be an insult?" "No," I said, wiping tears of laughter. "That's toddler poetry." Jason sighed. "I'll take it." He hugged Leo goodbye and left. Not dramatically, not angrily, just appropriately. That night, after brushing Leo's teeth and tucking him in, I sat alone on the couch with a cup of peppermint tea and a movie paused on the screen. Not lonely, just alone. There's a difference. A soft knock came from my door sometime around 8 p.m. It was my neighbor Ben, the friendly single dad 2 floors down. He held a toolbox in one hand and smiled shyly. "Hey, your hallway light flickers sometimes," he said. "Thought I'd offer to fix it. I'm pretty handy." My heart didn't race, but it warmed. Just a tiny flicker. "Sure," I said with a small smile. "Come on in." As he worked, Leo peeked from his room, whispering, "Mommy, is he a shark?" "No, baby," I whispered back. "Just a nice guy with a toolbox." Leo nodded. "Good. Sharks don't fix lights." And for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt a quiet, unexpected hope begin to settle inside me. The winter thaw came early that year, the kind that makes the whole world smell like new beginnings. Wet asphalt, warm sunlight, and fresh coffee from the cafe downstairs. Leo and I had been living in our new apartment for almost 4 months, and every morning I woke up feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Safe, light, free. Leo had adjusted beautifully. He had new friends, new routines, and a favorite new activity he called truck inspections, where he lined his toy trucks on the floor and made sure they were emotionally stable. I didn't question it. As for me, I was healing, slowly, softly, honestly. And then there was Ben. For weeks after he fixed the flickering hallway light, he found excuses to help. Tightening cabinet hinges, bringing over leftover lasagna from his mom, lending me a power drill I absolutely did not know how to use. He never pushed, never flirted aggressively. He was just there. Steady, respectful, funny in a gentle way. One Saturday morning, he knocked on my door holding 2 cups of hot chocolate and a brand new toy truck for Leo. Leo opened the door first and gasped. "Mommy, he brought offerings." Ben blinked. "Offerings? It means he likes us," Leo said matter-of-factly. I wanted to crawl into the floor and disappear. Ben just laughed. "Kid's not wrong," he said. We spent the morning at the park, letting Leo chase pigeons while Ben and I sat on a bench facing the pond. The water reflected the bare trees and the slow promise of spring. "Can I ask you something?" Ben said. "Sure. How are you doing? Really doing?" Nobody had asked in that particular tone, gentle, not prying, not performative. I took a long breath. "I'm okay," I said. Better than I thought I'd be by now. I thought divorce would feel like failure, but it feels more like getting my life back, like stepping out of a fog I didn't even know I was breathing. Ben nodded slowly. "You look lighter." I glanced at him playfully. "Are you saying I looked awful before?" He grinned. "No, I'm saying you look like someone who finally remembers her own strength." Warmth bloomed in my chest, slow, careful warmth, the kind that doesn't rush. Leo ran over, panting. "Mommy, Mommy, I told the pigeons I'm their leader now." I squeezed his cheeks. "Congratulations on your promotion." He nodded seriously. "It's a big job," Ben chuckled. "I see leadership runs in the family." Later that night, when Leo fell asleep after insisting on arranging all his trucks in a perfect circle around his bed for safety, I found something tucked under his pillow, a small folded piece of construction paper. A note, written in his uneven handwriting. It said, "Mommy, this house is happy because you smile now." My throat tightened. Under the sentence, he'd drawn 2 figures holding hands, me and him, and a third figure off to the side with really big teeth labeled, "No." I slapped a hand over my mouth to stifle a laugh sob. The next morning, I decided to do something I hadn't done since this entire storm began. I wrote a letter too, not to Jason, not to the past, to Leo. I sat at the small kitchen table, the sunlight warming my back, and wrote, "One day you'll be old enough to understand everything we survived. You were braver than you knew. You saved my heart without trying. And I will always choose peace for us." I folded the letter, slipped it into a small envelope, and placed it inside a keepsake box with his favorite baby blanket and the now faded crash truck, the same one he'd left by the door the morning everything changed. That afternoon, we invited Ben over for lunch. Leo insisted on cooking, which meant he cracked an egg on the counter and declared it abstract art. When Ben walked in, Leo proudly presented a bowl of something beige. "It's soup," Leo said. Ben blinked. "What kind of soup?" Leo shrugged. "Surprise soup." I whispered to Ben, "Don't eat it. It's a trap." He smiled, leaned close, and whispered back, "I'd survive." Something fluttered inside me. Not fear, not panic. Something like hope stretching its limbs after a long sleep. After lunch, while Leo played with his trucks, Ben looked at me with a calm, open expression. "No pressure," he said quietly, "but if you ever want to get coffee, just you and me, I'd like that." For a moment, my heart hesitated. Not because of fear, because of gratitude. "Yeah," I said softly, "I think I'd like that too." Leo overheard, gasped, and whispered dramatically, "Mommy is dating a nut shark." Ben nearly choked on his water. I covered my face, laughing until I couldn't breathe. And in that bright, ridiculous, beautiful moment, I realized this was the end of a painful chapter. But it was also the beginning of something new. Something gentle, something real, something earned. Sometimes healing wasn't loud. Sometimes it didn't look like fireworks or epiphanies. Sometimes it looked like a kid laughing, a new friend fixing a hallway light, or a woman finally choosing herself. Sometimes healing looked like moving on, hand in hand with the little boy who unknowingly saved you, into a life that finally felt like yours. Spring settled into our lives like a soft blanket, slow, gentle, and almost unnoticeable, until one morning I realized the world wasn't gray anymore. Trees outside our apartment blossomed in pale pinks, Leo's giggles filled the hallways, and my heart, well, it finally felt like it belonged to me again. Life didn't magically turn into a perfect movie. Bills still came, traffic still existed, Leo still insisted on sleeping with 6 trucks, 2 dinosaurs, and a stuffed raccoon named Bradley. But the heaviness was gone, replaced instead with something small and warm, like the first sip of hot chocolate on a cold day. One Sunday morning, Leo and I walked to the cafe downstairs. He wore his little blue jacket and carried his favorite truck in his pocket for emergencies, though neither of us knew what a truck emergency looked like. We sat by the window, sharing a croissant. Sunlight fell across his curls, and he leaned his head on my arm. "Mommy?" he asked quietly. "Yes, baby?" "Are you happy now?" I paused, not because I doubted my answer, but because it had been a long time since anyone asked me that so simply, so directly. I brushed a crumb from his cheek. "Yeah," I said softly, "I really am." He smiled like I'd given him a gift. Outside the window, I saw Ben walking down the street carrying a small toolbox and a cup of coffee. When he spotted us, he waved, not eagerly, not nervously, just kindly, like someone who understood that good things don't need to rush. Leo waved back enthusiastically. "Ben, we're doing brunch." "Mommy said brunch is when grown-ups eat breakfast slowly." Ben laughed. "Sounds about right." He joined us, pulling up a chair, and as the 3 of us sat there, Leo rambling about dinosaurs, Ben listening with genuine interest, sunlight warming the table, it hit me. Healing isn't a single moment, it's a collection of tiny ones. A warm cup between your hands, a child's laugh, a day without fear, a life without pretending, a heart that doesn't flinch anymore. I don't know what comes next, but for the first time in a very long time, I'm excited to find out. And that, quiet, honest, unremarkable as it may seem, is the happiest ending I could have asked for.